Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Box. We're going to do some creepy places again today, and there's a couple things that I found that were really interesting. That one of them I want to play it. It's so funny. Have you seen Sherry? How are you?
No. How am I? I'm fine. I'm doing better. Doing
Did you
better.
like? Did you like that new intro?
I loved it. I just
Yeah,
put it in the chat too. I think that is really cool. Good job, Steve.
yeah. We had
That
to do something different. I've been wanting to change things because that way it takes that one certain person completely out of the show,
yes.
which I know makes Susie happy too. So um, Steve got a hold of me the other day and said he was working on something, so he showed it to me, and I was watching him put it together, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this. I would have this thing so mucked up it wouldn't even be funny." Hi, Norma.
Hi Norma. He did an
So
excellent job. I like it. I like the music and
yeah,
the
it was
space.
kind of
Yeah.
chill. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
our outro too. And then, he put in, I love the colors that he used for when it comes
Yes.
in Beyond the Box, because it's actually the color of our background. So, it's kind of neat. I like it. It's calming. It's not so
Loud.
erratic. There's a lot going on.
There, yeah, yeah, it
I mean,
is.
I still have the other one. I'll probably hang on to it for a while, but I think that this one is really good, and I'm really glad that Steve sat down with me and did it. And then the other day, he sent me the outro part. Um, the beginning video is not as long as our original ones were. We don't have a break one anymore. I figured lately we really haven't been taking one. So as long as I've got other people on here with me, if I got to cut out and go use the restroom, I can just let you guys know, hey, I'll be right back, and out my camera and run. Um, so, uh, oh, did you, Norma? Yeah. I watch those too when I get a chance, or I like when he's live and I'll go in there in the chat. And you usually run into Woo and Jason in there. Um, but sometimes I don't get a chance to see that because I'm usually asleep when he does them early in the mornings, earlier. But I will watch them at night, you know. So I do still watch his stuff, and some of it, like the Coral Castle ones, I watched most of those live. Um, some of his Bermuda Triangle ones I watched live, so now I catch up on those. And I did see his rant one. It was it was pretty good. I was laughing. I was thinking, why is Tom wearing those big goggle things on his face to do gardening? I do gardening. I never had nothing on my face when I do gardening. It's like it's almost like he was in there torching something.
Oh my
Like
gosh. I've never gardened like that either, and I garden, so
to each their own. Norma says weirdo, right?
protect
Like,
your eyes from the bugs or something. I don't know.
like he's afraid he's going to get something in there that's going to. I don't know. But that's part of gardening. Look, if you're flipping around dirt and you get a piece in your eyeball, that's like when you're a kid and you do something. You learn from your mistakes. Don't flip your dirt like that. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the way
yeah,
it is.
you
Really.
do.
So I ran across something that I thought was pretty funny that I want to start with. Let me get down here and do this. Only because I seen it, and you guys have seen the one guy that does the oh shit, the Grinch. Have you ever seen him?
The Grinch?
Yeah. And then they run around and they do this video where he's fighting with Santa Claus. He runs in, takes the trees, and
Yes,
does
yes.
this and that. Okay, so I ran across one. I guess it's a newer one. And I thought it was freaking hilarious. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. Let me make this bigger. So watch this one.
Oh. Oh no.
The harvest. When you die, you're
Oh my god.
I was like, I was sitting there flipping through videos, and I ran across that one, and it was like, oh my god, now he's oh shit.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that and just it's really hard to contain that. That is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
So yeah. And I thought to myself, oh my god, that was hilarious.
It is. It's great. It's great.
I love that. I sit there every once in a while and I'll go through some of the reels on my Facebook. And sometimes I run into some really awesome ones. And there is oh no, I clicked out of them. There is a girl a woman that does these certain videos on different stuff. And I think she's from England. And she has a very calming voice. And when she talks about some of this stuff, it's real, she stays melatonin. And I had ran across one where she did the whole thing on the reincarnation, which I found it kind of funny because Susie and I last week, she had just done something on reincarnation. And she talks about how if you go to the light, that you were reborn. And then it says that the reason why the babies scream when they come out is because at that moment they're remembering, they went to the light. So I don't know about that. I think that babies cry when they come out because they're they're taken away from their safe environment. Their soft and their protected environment. But the reason why I bring this up is my daughter called me the other day. Now, my grandson's only allowed to watch 3 programs. Okay. Doesn't watch TV with mom and dad. 3 programs, and they are learning ones where he learns ABCs. My grandson is 2 years old. He can do his ABCs by sign language. He spells letters up in the air. So she called him the other day and she said, Charlie, come here. And he looked at her and he said, my name is Malcolm.
Oh.
And she said, Malcolm? Who is Malcolm? And still to this day. So I told her, start asking him other questions like, where do you come from? But he's only 2. He hasn't quite figured out how to answer those questions yet. So I told her, well, just, stick with it. And the more that he tells you, don't stop him from telling you this. Allow him to speak. So she calls me up yesterday and she says, Charlie, do you want to talk to Nana? And he runs over to the phone and says, I said, my name's Malcolm.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, Mom, who is Malcolm? I'm like, I don't know. Now, I will give my daughter one thing. She will argue with me all day about politics and about this, about that. But she believes that it is possible that people can be reincarnated.
Yes.
So I did speak with her a little bit about that. And she says, Mom, if I find out that he is from someplace else, it's going to kind of freak me out a little bit. And I said, well, no matter how much it freaks you out, don't act freaked out and just let him naturally.
Yes. just act like like a story.
Right.
All she has to do is like, wow, really? And then what?
And it's like,
My youngest did that, or yeah, my youngest did that to me when
yeah,
and it starts at 2. I just went along with it, and then I would I'd get on I'd go, wow, really? And then I'd get online and
start looking for this. Yeah.
yeah, I was looking that stuff up all at the same time. So yeah,
Right. And it's like I told her, look, if he ever tells you that he's playing with somebody, that
yeah,
he's got an imaginary friend, don't tell him that's all in his head.
no, don't do that.
Because he may, and I told her, he may be like me. And she said, well, that'll freak me out too, Mom. And I said, well, just don't allow it to freak you out. Just know that it is something that we are naturally born with. Not all of us have it when we're born. Because our parents say, that's not true. It's a figment of your imagination. You're not talking to anybody. Stop that. Don't say those things to him. Let him naturally produce his third eye on his own. He already has it. Let it be. So,
Yeah, some kids are naturally born different, and that more than just what everybody's been taught and used to.
yes.
I understand that because that's how I taught my kids and raised them. And my family were always like harping on me, and they're very political and they're very, just the leave it to Beaver Cleaver type people. I'm like, so yeah.
I was brought up a little weird and different and in different aspects of life. So mine wasn't so normal. But, and I told her, I said, the problem with losing that ability is that you go to school, you get indoctrinated, people tell you, don't listen to this or don't do that. And, some people, and I told her the one thing though, you have to make sure, ask him questions about his imaginary friend, because you want to make sure that that is not a evil entity that is trying to, if that certain thing tells your son to do things that is not right, you're going to have to step in. She goes, and how do I do that? I said, well, you got to pray. She goes, Mom, I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in, there's a lot of things she don't believe in anymore. And I have no idea why, because I brought her up going to church and doing different things. But she doesn't believe in things that she can't see. And that's a lot of it.
That's hard.
So it is. And I told her, I said, the thing of it is about God is he's always around you. Okay? Always. Just because you can't see him does not mean that he is not around you.
Yeah. He's like right here waiting, to ask for some help.
And she's always turned around and said, like this recent bout that they had when her husband lost his job, she's like, I don't know who I pissed off. Well, you spend a lot of time, instead of praying and asking God for help, you spend a lot of time saying, I don't believe in that. So maybe you need to change your beliefs a little bit,
I don't believe in help. Yeah, okay. No help.
Right. So on that aspect, I have brought up a couple of haunted places here in Texas. Now, I will tell you, some of these places are absolutely gorgeous. And there are some that are not that far from me. Biggest thing is with me is I can't get into a lot of these places, or I would go and visit them because I think that would be just great, So, but I think when you have places that are haunted, people always tell you that with spirits, they don't belong here. You need to help them to move on. But I think I have another aspect on this. So let's say you pass away, your soul goes to, where it's supposed to be, but you have your light, and then you have what they say if you say you want to go home, you don't have to come back. So, what if these people get caught in that middle realm
Limbo.
where where they are kind of afraid to go to the light, but they're afraid to go somewhere else? So, do they stay here and become spirits that are haunted? Now, I can see some of the children that pass away thinking that they should stay where they're at. They might be waiting for their parents to come and find them. They might not exactly know what to do because, when you die, whatever age you are, when you die, that's the age that you stay apparently until you come back. I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard so many different things, so I
Yeah.
haven't landed on one in particular. Let's put it that way. They could all be possible. Who knows?
Yes. Why not? Norma, I go to cemeteries, and sometimes I'm going to tell you, sometimes they can be very peaceful places. Um, yes, there is some that does linger there. Well, and for me, like I said, I can tell. I've been to cemeteries, very old ones, and I have seen children. I have seen other people, but then way back in the corner, the sun would be shining, everything, but way back in the corner, there would be like this dark area,
Mm.
and I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go anywhere near that spot. I stayed where everybody else was. Um, I don't ever invite it to come anywhere near me. And by stepping into its little territory, that can be bad.
Yes.
The kids that were there weren't afraid of it. They were running around playing all over the place. But yes, you can run into bad things. Uh, Cemeteries at night, it's hard to distinguish the difference between being in a safe, comfortable spot or being in a spot where you probably shouldn't be. And I think that's what happened to me. I was with other people. I didn't pay attention. That's how I got bit, and that's how I got scratched because we were someplace that we probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I usually would feel things like that, but we were just having a good time. I don't even think any of us were sober, to tell you the truth.
Oh, well, that doesn't help. I mean,
Party things, I don't know, but I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have.
that opens up doors, as they say. So there you go.
And after that happened, it was like, okay, everybody, it's time for us to go. But stop. Don't anybody step off this grass until we tell whatever this is in here. You cannot come with us. You have to stay here. You're not allowed in the car. You're not allowed in our homes. You're not allowed to attach yourselves to us.
I
And
do
you have to
that
be prominent
when
with it.
I've left the cemetery where my grandparents are, and I have a bunch of relatives all up in there. And when I leave, I do it when I'm leaving, and where the stone entrance.
And
I do
Norma
it.
came up with a really good point. She says, you cannot shoot shadows. Well, you're absolutely correct, Norma.
No.
What are you going to do to a spirit? You definitely can't shoot it. It ain't like it's going to do it any good. It'll just sit there and look at you and laugh.
Susie's dad tried to do that. Remember one of her stories. She said her dad was shooting up the house.
Yes.
And it didn't work. So.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't really do you any good at all.
No.
Norma and Brent, you guys missed our new intro. Steve made us a new intro video. I wonder if I can play it on here.
I don't know.
I can try. You guys want to see the new intro video? You want me to try to pop it on here and play it and see if you guys can see it? Hey, Tex. How you doing, Texas? Yeah, Steve made us a new intro and exit video, and it's real calming. and it's kind of neat, you know. And Steve did mention it, Norma. Yeah, yeah. It's good. I like it. He did a good job. And we were putting. I was sitting with him. We were putting things in different places, and then I had him add Sherry's name to it, and it came out. I think it came out pretty good. It's not as long as our original, and it's a lot different music. It kind of like would fit in doing anything really. We could use it doing cryptids. We can use it doing UFO stuff. So okay, let me come in here and let me go to video, and I will go ahead and play the new intro. So let me come on, videos, pull up. Okay. Let's see, that's the outro. Okay, I'm gonna play this. So we're gonna go silent for a minute there, Sherry. Okay? Okay. There we go. What'd you guys think? I think it's not as long, so I think it looks pretty good.
It's a good
And-
length, in
yeah.
my opinion. It's not too short and it's not too long. It's I
Right.
think really good.
Now
length.
we don't have the pictures of the dogs up there, but if you looked, Steve put like a special shout out to
Oh,
Tucker.
I did. I love that part. I was like, oh, I love that. Shout out.
So they're still kind of in it. Their pictures
Yeah.
just aren't up, so it's all good.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Wow,
I thought
nice.
it was pretty nice.
I love
And the outgoing one is pretty short. So, like I said, they're not as long, which is okay with me because a lot of us would be sitting there going, "Okay, come on, let's go get it." But he did a good job, so I was pretty proud of him.
Yes, I like it. I like it a lot.
Right. So, I'm going to talk about a few haunted places here in Texas. Now, one of the places, let me show you the inside. It is called the Driscoll Hotel. So first, let me show you the inside of it, and then I'll tell you guys about it, and then you'll get to see the outside. And the inside, the reason why I say it's kind of important to show the inside is some of the deaths that happened, people fell down these staircases. Yeah. So, but that's the inside, and the work in it is absolutely gorgeous. Hi, Jason. And it the way the stairs go up, and the work in it looks really old, like way back in the day, but yet it's really, really nice.
It's cool.
Yeah. So the Driscoll Hotel was here, let me show you the outside now. Wait till you see the outside. Now the outside is pretty nice. There's the outside, and it's huge.
It is huge. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's in downtown Austin. So it's a lot of places, people will go there. It's really nice. Now, I've never been there, but I've driven by it before and I've seen it. Now, the Bristol Hotel was built in 1886. So they did a really good job keeping upkeep on that for being built in 1886. And apparently, not only do they get their visitors from out of town and what have you, but they say that there are plenty of ghosts that live at this place. A few of them is like they hear there was a little girl who fell down those stairs and passed away.
Oh.
And they hear her playing, they hear ball bouncing, they hear her laughing. And then there were two brides at separate times. They were decades apart. And for some reason, the brides in room 525, they took their own lives. And it was decades apart when this happened.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I was like, what? What, at the same time, same day?
No. But it was in the same room.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's also a small place in Yorktown. It's called Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Now, I don't live that far from Yorktown. And Yorktown Memorial Hospital, of course, we know a lot of things that happen with hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And Yorktown Memorial Hospital was opened up by several different people from different religions that got together, and they opened up this, this group from 1950, I think it was, that they opened it up. And there was a group of them. And there was and it was in operation for about 30 years. And so, of course, we know people pass away in hospitals, but also it's said that there was a few people from different nationalities that were there that did experiments. Yeah, so they say that there is at least people that have been there. They see all kinds of ghosts. They see some in gowns. They see some walking around in like 1930s outfits. There was one person that went and did investigations there, and they said that on their own, they figured there was at least 64 different entities inside this hospital.
Wow.
Now, this hospital still stands. It's no longer in use. And the only thing that I could find on that one was just the one room, a photo of one room. And it's got the metal bed in it still.
Yeah, that looks creepy.
Shelves, yeah. And it is really tore up. It's not in good shape. They do take people in there, but it has to be during the day, and you have to contact somebody, and you have to sign a waiver. That way, if you fall through the floor and break your leg, that's your own fault.
Right. Or get sick or something.
Like one of those things, right?
Or like if they have formaldehyde in there and the
walls
and everything.
Now, there's been a lot of people that have broken into this place,
I'm
and
sure.
of course, they've tore it up. Plus the weather elements and animals, because where it sits, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So it sits where there are a lot of animals. We get, God only knows what goes in there. I'd be afraid to go in there because I know that there's got to be some snakes living in that thing.
Yeah,
and
I
don't
wouldn't
walk
want
anywhere. No.
I'm not like afraid of snakes, but I know better. It's like they could be over there, I could be over here. But I'm not terrified of them. I just know what they can
not really
do.
afraid of them. If I know that they're not venomous,
Right.
and they're in a place they don't need to be, I will reach down and grab them by the tail and stretch them and toss them so they go somewhere else. As long as I know they're not venomous. If they're venomous, I ain't getting nowhere near that thing as far as
I don't, especially
unless something's going after my dog, then
Well,
I'm gonna stop it no matter what I do. But it's God only knows what it's full of. And we do, believe it or not, Texas has got mountain lions. I've seen them out here. And when you're out there like that, I wouldn't be out there at night
No.
because
No,
no,
no.
no.
There's a lot of nighttime critters that are,
Yeah. And we get wild cows that just roam around out here. So
oh,
you know what those you know what those mountain lions are going for.
yep,
So it's just best to stay out of their way.
right,
Can't.
right.
So that brings me to that point of okay, um, why are the spirits still here? As long as that I have been communicating with them, I've never asked one, why are you still here? And I sat and thought to myself, well, that's stupid, Brenda. Why didn't you ask? And usually it's because a lot of them are like, where am I?
Right. That's
Why am I here? Well, I can tell them they're there because, well, they passed away, you know? But when I see some that are still around, like my attachment to my doll, now her I've asked, why are you still here? And she said there's nowhere for her to go.
really?
So is it that they don't want to be reborn? Is there something on the other side that makes them think that they just don't want to be here? Or they don't want to go anywhere else? They just want to be where they're at? Of course, we all know the stories about unfinished business.
Right,
People who
right.
have, yeah. And a lot of times, if somebody dies, per se, a plane crash or they're shot or, something to that aspect, and it's a sudden death, then they don't know. Now, that lady I was telling you about, that video that was talking about reincarnation, she said that the best way for you to know whether or not you're going to be reincarnated, and if you are reincarnated and you come back right after that, what makes you know is you die when you're alive, like you're awake. It happens.
Oh, okay.
So,
I haven't heard that one. I mean, I've heard a lot. I've delved into a lot of that stuff over the years of theories, possibilities, people's opinions.
and that's what she says. She
Yeah.
says a lot of times, if you think about it when you die, about coming back or being reincarnated, then you have the ability to do so. You can come back.
Hmm.
I think that if I ever came back, it would either be way back in the day of when it was simpler times. Um, I mean, technology is fine. We have to grow. It's what it is. But things today are just so complicated. Um, People aren't built like they were back in our era. There, Sherry.
No, no, no.
Soft. They're soft
Oh, I heard myself. What? Excuse me? What was that?
I mean, people ask me, oh, are you angry because I said something because you only have one leg? And I'm like, dude, there is nobody that makes more fun of me any better than I make of myself. So, no, I'm just not built like you. I'm a little tougher than that. I used to eat mud pies as a kid, okay? We are not alike.
It's like, no, I'm sorry. Sorry. I could probably hurt your feelings though in about 2 seconds, but
Right. I have fell out of trees. I have done, you know, I was sitting there thinking about every bone that I ever broke when I was younger. And I was thinking to myself, God, I was a rough kid. I mean, it's like, what was I thinking?
it's how
Oh,
it was. I mean, if you weren't
this big
bleeding,
tree. Who cares how you get down?
if you weren't bleeding or a bone sticking out, like you said, you don't go to the hospital.
Yes.
You don't. I had my mother do that when I've kind of ran into a sliding glass door as a kid, wanting to see my dad plow the yard and flew back, and I'm crying, and she's like, "Well, there's no blood. You'll be fine. That's what you get for running through the house." You know what they always.
Right? And now they take, oh, I'm so sorry. I did. Oh,
Well, she should have done that at that
no.
time. That time, seriously, she probably should have.
Yeah.
You know, there was times where, you know, they could have took you, and then you're an adult and they're like, "What happened to you?" And I'm like,
I
life.
don't know, Sherry. Look, I was 50 years old and still doing stupid shit. Okay.
Oh, I'm not saying
It was okay. I survived.
I'm not putting myself. I'm not saying that I'm like, you know, Miss Susie Q of well, not her, meaning Susie, but you know, of like being cautious. No, I catch myself all the time doing really. It's like, wow, okay, really?
Well, let's bring up Susie. Look at her.
Is she
I
in?
mean, she will build things and
I
cut
know.
trees and wrestle with her horses and mess with
Yeah.
her cows. Finally came home. She lost 3 cows again, and they came home. She caught them.
Oh, I didn't know she lost them. I'm
Yes.
glad they came
Always
home.
Cows are so bad. They wander. They like to leave home.
I like cows.
They're terrible.
My
She said
friends
they-
had a cow farm, and I grew up with friends with a dairy farm, and I liked the cows.
Yeah, she said they came home and they are so fat. They're
Oh,
huge.
they were eating well. eh?
They were, and she was leaving them buckets of oats and stuff too. So they weren't only sneaking in the yard in the middle of the night and eating from
Oh
Susie.
my god!
They were going around and eating from everybody else in
They're
the neighborhood.
stealth cows at night. We're getting our meals. No one can find us.
Still cows.
Stealth cows. Do, 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 do.
Oh, they're funny. I mean, I just love it. It's funny because when I went out there, we went up to where she had all the hay piled, all the cows were there. And they would come around and they'd actually come up to you and just look at you with their little slimy noses. And you're like, hey.
Aw, oh, they're so cute.
Jason said they like to move.
We got some cows up the road. They don't have them in the field right now. They got them in the backfield, but I always drive by when I'm coming down the hill. I can see them. It's a new farm, and I just yeah.
I like them. But I've never really heard about any kind of hauntings on a cow farm. What do you think a cow would do if it ran into any kind of spirits?
I don't know. I don't know if it would freak them out or not.
So downtown in Austin, we have a place called the Plaza Theater Performing Arts Center. And it used to be a really old, place where they did theater work, back in the day. And I do believe that this was built in, I think they said 1903. And it was shut down. They went in and they remodeled it, which we all know that's something you're really not supposed to do because a lot of times spirits don't like that.
Right.
But this place is pretty cool. I don't know if I can make that any bigger. Nope.
Wow, that's really pretty.
Wait, what's this? No, that's not it. But it's this here. Now, the only thing that's ever been reported at this theater has been 3 female ghosts and a child.
Oh,
And they said that child also fell down flights of stairs into the theater.
oh my goodness.
And my thought was, when you have a child that small, why are you not holding that child's hand?
Exactly.
Down the stairs.
That's what I was thinking.
But so they say that they hear her in there. She plays on stage. They think that she sits around and watches what they're doing because whenever somebody hears her, it's almost like she's mimicking what their play was about.
Oh,
So yeah, so she's a little actor, a little actress, I should say. And so they don't really say a whole lot about that place. That I've never been to because I really I don't like to go to, things like that.
That
If
place
it's
is
not in a movie theater where it's loud and bouncing my eardrums out,
right.
I'd fall asleep. I would fall asleep. And I sound corrected. It was in operation from 1930 to 1985 before it was reconstructed. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, it's seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, there's another place. I think this one is in San Antonio. This one here is much smaller. It is old, very old, but apparently people still do go and stay there. And this is called it's called the Historic Jefferson Hotel. And it was built in 1851. Boy, I'm gonna tell you what, Texas is old.
It is.
It's old.
They were building stuff way back.
Yeah. So now this one, they had said that there was a time when it had collapsed during its building, and there was 85 people that were killed when this happened, when they were building it, and something happened. Could have been a tornado, who knows. So it is said that those 85 people never left,
Oh,
and they're there all the time. And it's kind of like a small place to have 85 spirits. That's got to be a very extremely active place.
exactly. That looks like New Orleans, how they build the buildings down in New Orleans.
Yes, it does. And so in 1985, they went in, somebody bought it, and they went and restored it to turn it back into an active hotel, where people can come and go and stay there. But the people that stay there, it says that they usually, unless they are not afraid, they don't stay all night long.
Oh,
The
wow.
hotel started telling people when they come, they pay for a night, but if they're only there for, say, like 2 hours, they deduct so much, so they only pay an hourly rate, because it got to the point where people were having a fit because they would pay to stay all night and the spirits wouldn't allow them to sleep. So they would have to leave,
Great. You could make it a haunted one, though, just to have people like, come and stay at a haunted hotel and, see if you can stay the whole night. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Susie. We were talking about a hotel. Well, we were talking about your cows and that they finally came home.
Oh, your stealthy cows.
Trying to get my headset to work here. Ugh. Okay, I'll try this one. I think that one wants to.
Are you ready? Are you in?
Huh?
I said, are you in?
I don't know. It's working. Come on. Is it working?
Yes.
No. Yes, there it is.
We hear you.
Okay. Okay, good.
Wi-Fi password is boo. Yeah, there you go, Jason. I can see that. You go to a haunted hotel and you want to use the Wi-Fi. The password is boo.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I could see that. I could see that. That would be interesting. But
So
we were talking.
I know I was trying to listen to a little. I was trying to get ready, right? But you said something about the Driscoll. I want to tell you something about the Driscoll.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Madeline Brown, who was LBJ's girlfriend. Okay. Brown said that on New Year's Eve in 1963, she met with Lyndon Johnson at the Driscoll Hotel in Austin, Texas, and that Johnson confirmed the conspiracy to kill Kennedy, insisting that Texas oil and renegade intelligence bastards in Washington had been responsible. And that's where it was confirmed to her at the Driscoll that they were going to murder Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Well,
Yeah.
then, see, I knew if Susie came on, she'd have something to say about something of those. She knows so much. Where do you store all this stuff in your head? Because my head throws up, and my brain spits things that I learn out, so I have to relearn them again. I don't get it.
Well, I worked in Austin for, I don't know. I mean, I was there from 82 till, I don't know, 2000. So a long time. And then I worked downtown. Why is my phone echoing?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let me go out and come back in, and then I'll tell you.
It might be me. Hang on. Let me move.
It might be you.
Yeah, I think it might be echoing yourself off of my mic. Try it again. Talk now.
Okay. Oh,
Good.
It's okay now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I worked downtown Austin. I worked in that saddle shop for 17 years, just 2 blocks from the Capitol. So Lyndon B. Johnson's wife, Lady Bird Johnson, used to come in the store all the time. I used to talk to her. So I was working in Austin, being in Austin. So I knew a lot about, and then LBJ was, Buck told me, Buck Steiner, who owned the saddle shop, in case people listening don't know who I'm talking about, but the man who raised me, he actually told me he gave the money to Johnson to go to Washington to become president or vice president at the time. But he was Johnson was a real bastard. Okay. And not a good guy, but they were related to John Conley. So all the people from the Capitol and Austin used to come in the saddle shop. I knew the governors. I knew all of them. They were all coming in and out all the time. So that's why I knew about the Driscoll down the road and about Madeline Brown, who was having her, she was being put up at the Driscoll a lot. And she had a son with L.B. Johnson. And she said that they conspired and killed her son because he wanted some of the inheritance from when Johnson died. And so they murdered her son. So she came out with a book and everything and she told the story. It's Madeline Brown. Anybody wants to look it up. Madeline Brown. And she gives full disclosure because she was there when LBJ, her boyfriend, was conspiring with the Bushes, the Nixons, the Nixons, he was involved in it. I mean, he knew about it. All these guys were part of this whole thing, but they called them the good old boys, the Texas good old boys. And they were tied in with the Chicago Mafia boys, they were all connected. So, they were putting it all together, but, Johnson was vice president. Okay, so he was conspiring against Kennedy, right there in Austin.
I wonder if any of them are, because that place is open and it has so many stories. I bet they've got an elevator. I wonder if I can just go in there, if they will allow me to just go in there and look around.
Well, the Driscoll, you can stay there. It's a really expensive hotel. You can book a room and it's downtown Austin. Like you pull up on a curb and you go into the building. It's pretty high dollar. I think it's like, I think could be $1,000 a night to stay there. Hell, I don't know. It's expensive. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to pay $1,000 a night to go see if Johnson or anybody else is still hanging out there. That would be horrible.
The ghost of, yeah.
That would be bad.
Like the Titanic, they all, having their, swinging around in the ballroom, like in the Driscoll, Yeah,
but still, I think that a ticket to go in and tour the Titanic is only like $25, but I don't know. This is California; they're going broke, so they may have raised it. Who knows? I don't think it's $1,000 just to go in there and go for a tour in the.
The Driscoll's expensive. The Driscoll and the Hyatt Regency and all those, they're expensive. But the Driscoll is definitely a high. I think Buck told me he knew Mr. Driscoll, the guy that built that. He knew him.
Steve.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve.
Buck was born in 1899, so he knew a few people.
Right.
Yeah.
Susie, did you see our intro? our new intro?
I did. I like it. I like it a lot. I like
Yeah,
it.
Steve did a wonderful job. He did a
It's
real
it's simple, but I don't like all the fluff, you know. So it fits me better. I like it better than the other one. Yeah.
yeah. It's not as long, and
Yeah. That's
it's
good.
a lot more calming, and it can be used for anything. If you look at it, it can be used when we do creepy locations just beyond the box. It can be used when we have like cryptids, um, you know, all that stuff because it just
Brenda,
kind of sits in
I
line with it all.
I really just didn't like the song on the other one, and it was I don't this one was nice. Like I said, this one I liked it. I liked it a lot. The
Yeah,
other one was like I didn't care for the music on it. Yeah.
right. I've been wanting to get away from that, but I watched Steve put it together. He was placing things in certain spots and I'm watching him and he has this thing that he downloaded to do it. And I'm looking at this while he's doing it and I'm trying to pay attention and I'm like, there is no way in hell I could do that. What I mean, I am just computer stupid. We all know this. I've said it before. I'm lucky that I can turn on our show and I can schedule shows. I have figured that out. Sharing stuff, what have you. But when it comes to doing stuff behind the scenes and putting stuff like that together, it's like I'm watching him going, I am so glad he understands this because this is like foreign to me. And then I would watch him take something from music and move it over, move words back, and then place it where it needed to be, and then play it over. And then he would move something if it wasn't right. And I'm like, wow.
Isn't it crazy how some people do it effortlessly and our
It,
brain
it,
can't even
it makes,
comprehend? Yeah.
yes, it just makes me love Steve even more because he is so damn talented with some of the stuff he does. And me, like I have a Discord now and I did figure it out. But I still have to learn OBS because I have found out that with OBS I can use it to do, different type of slideshows on here where I don't have to keep bouncing back and forth. I really need to get another smaller computer and a second computer screen so that I can join them. And I
I know
know
you
what
need a computer for every,
I know what
endeavor. Yeah.
right, and I know what I want to do, and I think I have a clue of doing it. It's a matter of
I
doing
still have that computer that you gave me. You could probably use that if because I'm not a computer person. You know what I mean?
Probably could. I think I could,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
You're still in there. I could hook the laptop up to with my computer and have a second screen to do stuff too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good.
I think so.
Put it to use because it's just sitting here collecting dust. I'm just looking at it.
It's just looking at it. I'm just looking at it. It's not anything spectacular, but I'm looking at it.
You should be able to do it. You should be able to make a battle station. And Brenda, Think Media. It's on YouTube. I learned a lot of the tech stuff that you could do. They'll teach you. They're just short videos, but Think Media, and they have tech to show you.
I also found out that
Sounds like Sherry knows what she's talking about.
yeah, I also found out that they have this book called Internet for
on
Dummies.
YouTube.
They have a book called Internet for Dummies and Computers for Dummies. So I thought, well, I'm a dummy. I need one of those.
Oh my God, no.
Hey, I'm sorry, but when it comes to computers, I'm permanently dummy. Okay.
Well, we might have to do that. I might have
help at times, so I'm
I
not
might
that.
have to take a trip out to the house one day, and we'll just have Joel go in and erase everything off of it.
There you
And
go.
then
Clear it because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah, we'll let Joel do that, and then I can get another cable to plug from one to the other,
Okay.
and I might be able to run two screens. I might have to get backstage with Steve and
Yeah.
get his
Get some
expertise on
pointers.
certain things. Yeah. So
I have a comment. I have a comment on your cemetery stuff too.
yeah.
I think that a lot of these people are like stuck, and I mean literally stuck there in the and where they die.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, a
I
lot
do
of them.
know. I have a story one time. I was staying in Waco with my daughter, and I had gone into my walk-in closet to get something to wear, and it was very, very cold.
Oh.
And I thought, okay, wait a minute. So what I started doing was I started leaving the closet door open.
Hey, that'd be nice if it was 80, 90 or 100 degrees outside.
Yeah. So I left the closet door open, and one night when I left the closet door open, there was a man that appeared to me.
Really?
He really, when he spoke, it was like broken. Like I couldn't hear everything he was saying, but what I got out of him was helicopter.
Huh?
And his
Huh.
name, his first name.
What was his name?
So, God, this has been so many years ago. I think he said his name was Brian. I believe
Okay.
that's what it was. But so I knew he had passed. Okay. So I
Right?
started looking in the areas of Texas for a helicopter that went down. Okay. Couldn't find anything. Well, then it came up that out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, on its way to San Antonio, there was a small plane that had gone down, and there was 4 people in this plane, and they all passed away. So
Okay.
I started looking this up, and I found the guy's name, and I went to his Facebook.
Okay.
He was a helicopter pilot,
Oh.
and I found him on Facebook. So this is what I
Wow.
did. He started showing up everywhere, even in my car. So I found out where the plane went down, and driving out there, I got as close to the wooded area as I could. And he was in my car. And I got
Okay.
out, I stood next to the car, and I said, "You need to come back here. You need to come back here, and you need to find your place where you need to be." And I never seen him again after that.
Okay.
But the funny thing of it was I had a friend with me, and he would say how cold it was when he came over. And he was with me when this happened. He was with me when I looked this guy up. And he actually put his name in, and he said, "What does he look like?" And I described him to him. And he turned the computer and said, "Is this him?"
Oh my goodness.
And I said, "Yes, that's him." So it freaked him out. He was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
you're a witch. Get the fuck away from me." I'm like,
They do that.
"Dude, I'm not a witch."
They always do that. They gotta throw something at you because they don't.
Yeah, you're a witch. You scare the hell out of me. Okay. But yeah, I never seen him again after that. So I think that also one of the things is if they're completely lost, taking them back where their death had occurred, that might help them too. You can't, because when their spirit leaves the body, people who can see them and communicate with them, we are what they call, we're a bright light to them. So they find us anywhere. You don't know where they came from.
I have a dead people story.
Okay.
Okay. I was just looking up the details here. Okay. Between 2002 and 2004, Ariel Castro abducted Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina just DeJesus on the roads in Cleveland, Ohio, and he had them captive in his home until 2013. Okay. And then they escaped. I don't know if you remember the 3 girls that were kidnapped that escaped from that home in Ohio. He held them, and then she had a daughter um, by this guy. So, and he was a bus driver, and he had a daughter. Okay, I'll tell you the story. So the story goes in 2013, I have this dream, and my brother James, who he had started that Christian radio station in Austin, he came to me in my dream, and he flew me to this house, and it was like a 2-story like white house, and we flew over the top of the house, and we looked down. I could see the backyard, I could see the little house and everything. And he said, reason I'm bringing you here is because there's a girl here that died, and her parents think that she's still alive, so I want you to tell them that she's dead. And so I'm like, okay, well, and I see the house and everything. So I wake up from the dream, and I go down and to Roger's apartment. I say, Roger, I just had the weirdest dream in the world. My brother who died came to me and took me to this house and told me that this girl died, and I'm supposed to like let her parents know that she's not here anymore. And he goes, well, did you hear what happened on the news this morning? I said, no. He said, well, there's these 3 girls in Cleveland, Ohio that had been kidnapped, and they got out. And I'm like, well, okay, but what does that have to do with my story? That's like the girl that, that I was told about is dead, right? So that doesn't, I don't know. So I at the time, I had a computer. It was 213, was, and, I didn't have like it was like beginner internet stuff, right? Back then. So I said, well, maybe I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, James, you didn't tell me the guy's name. You didn't tell me where he lived. You didn't tell me nothing. How am I supposed to do this? All he said to me was the guy had a daughter the same age as the girl he kidnapped or whatever. And the guy had a son and a daughter. Okay. And then I saw the house. So I decided I kept typing in the computer, this little bit of information, and it kept going to this case that just happened that day. So I decided, maybe I would just call the officer. It was in Barberton, Ohio. I'd called the guy the policeman that was handling the case, right? Because I don't know what to do with this information. My brothers tell me to do. And so I get the guy on the phone, and he says to me, I tell him, I said, I know this sounds really weird. I'm a Christian, and I know it sounds really bizarre that I'm talking to dead people. My brother's dead. He's telling me about this dead girl, and really, I'm not crazy. It's just, it's this is what happened. He goes, no, it's okay. The guy's real nice, and I said, well, I'm just trying to figure out, like who he's trying to get me to help, solve this problem with. And he says, what you're describing, the stuff sounds a lot like this case. And I'm like, how could it be like your case at all? And he says, well, first off, the guy had kidnapped a girl that's the same age as his daughter. He had a daughter and a son. And I'm like, okay, well, that matches. And then he says, so then I decide to look, at the article, and the freaking house was the house I was flying over the top of. It was the same exact house with the backyard. And my brother said to check the backyard. And I said, my brother told me for you to check the backyard. And so he did. He called a dig, and they found a bunch of babies that were buried in the backyard.
Wow.
And he said, and here's what he said to me. He said, this is what I want to tell you that hasn't come out publicly yet. But there was another girl that came up missing there in Cleveland, and their parents have been looking and hoping, for her, because these other 3 girls were found. And he said, but in the basement of that house, it said rest in peace and her name. So,
Wow.
and he said, nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. And so, but see, my brother told me she was already dead. So I figured the girl was with my brother, and my brother wanted me to tell her parents. Um, and so it was really weird because, like, it was like, I don't know, man. I tried to reach out on Facebook and mention it to him, and then I saw like 10 years later that those parents of that girl still hoping that she's going to come home and she's alive, and she sent the message to my brother to me to say she's not, basically.
Wow.
So
10
that's
years. That's a
my,
long time.
I know. And it's like, but growing up in a Christian church and everything, they don't talk about you talking to people that have already, left their body.
That's right. It's the
No,
same way. It's the same way. The Catholic Church, you know, most churches.
yes.
If you speak about talking to people that have passed on, and I think that's where your Salem witch things came from. Because not that I think that every person that they burned at the stake was a witch. I think that a lot of it was people who had abilities and they didn't know how to take them back then, and they branded you as a witch. And today things are more accepted, so people don't, I mean, you still have your people that say, oh, you're crazy, but it is more acceptable now that it is known that there are people who have certain abilities that can see beyond our veil, you know.
Right.
So but yeah, you could never, I know when I was younger, you could never say that stuff.
No,
My
I was told that you
grandmother
get
used, yeah,
locked up because
yeah,
of it. I mean, my family, we were open. I told you about that, so I had that, and I was with my kids because I didn't want to you know, I didn't want them to be shut off like
right.
how kids are. Kids are naturally that way.
And and there are people that have different types of spiritual abilities.
Yep.
Um, let's take Abe. Okay. Abe feels everything around him. He knows when there are things there that are watching him. Okay. Now, me, I know they're there because I see them. And if I don't see them because they're hiding, I can feel them.
Hmm.
So, um, but then there are people who don't have anything, who sit there, and I've had them tell me, God, I wish I could just do that. I'm not so sure
No,
that
no.
being at the age now, yes, it's accepted, but I think at an older age, if you can do that stuff, it would kind of freak you out. Okay. And that's the last thing you want, is to be freaked out when you have something spiritual that is stalking you.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I know people that have had incidents. They say that, and then something happens, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how you can live like that," or just,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to me, it comes natural. To me, it's always normal because I've done it since I was a small child. And
Right.
and so to me, I always grew up knowing that I was different, but in a way I kind of thought, well, maybe everybody was like me, till I found out they weren't.
No, they're
And
not. I found that out too.
yeah, so it's I look at it sometimes, I think in my early 20s, I used to think, no, this is not a gift. This is a punishment. This is something that's horrible, because I didn't know how to put a grasp on what was happening and how to set boundaries. I listened to my grandmother when I was younger, and she used to tell me about it, but I never did it until I did get older. When I figured out that, okay, yeah, my grandma was right. These things need to learn their place because they cannot be invading my life
Right.
completely all the time, every minute of the day. It can't happen. So now it's like, I don't see them every day. A couple times a month, maybe. So it's not a constant. It doesn't scare me when they just pop up out of anywhere. I don't think anything of it. I am glad that Jack can feel weird things, but he doesn't see them like walk in the house, come through the wall. Because they might freak
that.
out.
Me and my youngest are like that. He's like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Well, I saw this. You know, we do this." But the other side, they're like, "Don't talk about that." So we,
Yeah, because people are afraid of what they don't know, of what they
But
don't
you know,
understand.
Brenda and Sherry, you know what? I am so thankful that I can talk to dead people, and I know dead people can talk to me or show me things. And because you know what? Now I know my phone is echoing again.
Oh, hang on, let me mute. It's me. For some
Okay.
reason, I moved my speakers, and my mic is picking everything up. So
Okay.
hang on.
Okay. So now I know for a fact that none of us ever die, not really die. And that life is forever. Like we are eternal beings, right? Eternal. So the body is just the envelope, or that the soul stays in, but the soul can travel, it lives, it can come visit, it can come bless, it can, other souls, I mean, yeah, there are demons out there doing that too, but loved ones, and what I'm saying is life is so much better knowing that they're not dead,
right?
and that the people that we love are very much alive, and probably maybe even happier. Like my brother came to my dad and said, I'm happier than I've ever been, you
Aw.
know, and he said my daughter came to him and said, tell mom to research, and she wanted me to do all this stuff, like what I'm doing now, like she was telling him to tell me to do all this stuff, you know and so it gives me hope. I'm like, it doesn't feel like a dead end. It feels like life goes on, life continues even after the body ceases to function,
Right.
that the soul doesn't stop. The soul is alive forever. So, so that brings me a lot of comfort and peace, so if I have people that I love and they passed away, I know they're not dead,
No.
you know, because God gives us eternal life, and that is true. It is eternal. For
That
you can't end that. You can end the body, but you can't end the life.
that's why
Right.
they always say that, you know, they're always around, they're always watching. And when they get out of their body, they don't have the pain anymore.
Yep.
They don't have the stress anymore. So I can imagine that somebody would be happier than they've ever been because they don't have all that, you know. I think to myself a lot of times because lately I've been down. I mean, I haven't been doing shows like I should be because I've been down. I've been going through a lot of pain with different things. And then the other night, I leaned over my bed to do something for Putin, and I was turned and I leaned this way and I pulled something in my lower back. Now that just added something else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know? And I always think to
Poor
myself, one
thing.
of these days I will not have to be in pain anymore.
I hear you. I had episodes this week of one in the kitchen and then something else, and the other time and sprained my ankle with the puppy. I'm like, what is going on? It was like layer after layer of things, and I'm like,
I think the older I get, I feel like I'm a bull in a china shop.
Okay, can you see my finger today? Can you see my finger?
oh,
Oh
What did
yeah,
you
look at my
do?
oh
finger.
my god, you smashed
What did
it.
you do?
See that?
Yes.
Scratched it.
I kept, oh, it hurt like hell.
Yes.
What'd
it
you
looked like it
do?
did.
I got
Oh
a
my
big old
goodness.
blood blister. I was getting some, we were trying to fix I was trying to find a part. It's like a screw in for a gate, right? And I was digging through all these heavy things in the tool room. And I do not know how, but one of them damn things just dropped on my finger. And I mean, I was like, ah, I almost wanted to cry, and I don't cry. I was Joel in there. I was like, it's hurting for like, I go, most time I can get hurt, right? And I get over it pretty quick. Like, okay, that hurt. Like, I'm all
Right.
right now. But man, that thing just hurt for
Pulsated.
like, yeah, for like a couple minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
like it hurt. I'm like, ow.
Yeah, that looks like. Oh man, that looks painful.
Yeah, you can see it's got a big old
I
blister on it.
know. It's right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't hurt now. It just looks bad.
I got a nice bruise of
Unless I bump it, it might hurt.
one of my incidences, and it's like, oh, great, it's on my hip.
Yeah,
See,
our bodies experience a lot of pain, don't they? Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
but
like
you
I
know,
said.
I still have things to do. It doesn't stop. I mean,
Didn't we just talk about this? These kids today are not built like us. Okay.
No.
We take this stuff and it's like, yeah, they
complain
just
about
can't.
it for 5 minutes. And it's like, oh, look, I got to do this, or oh, I got to go there. That's what usually I end up doing.
We did fix the gate too, by the way.
That's good.
Well, you know what they say. It always turns out right if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we got the bridge. We got the bridge back over the creek today. Yay.
oh, that's good.
I can't believe your bridge that you just got washed.
Washed
is that what
sideways.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the flood took it.
Aw.
And it was not easy today because the winch didn't want to work, and we had to use all kinds of chains and stuff and hook it to a tree across the pond and then across the creek and then pull it over here with a skid steer. And it didn't want to go the right way. And it was, oh my God, it was so much work. But we got it. We finally got it.
Good job.
See, I'm telling you, you should have told me. I could have went out there with my chair between me and the skidster and tying things to the chair. We could have just moved it all over the place. I'd have been out there tearing it up. That reminds me, the National Seating and Nobility place has been trying to call me. I wonder if they're calling me so I can order my next wheelchair. I need to call them back. What's tomorrow? Thursday. Yes, I need to get on the phone with them tomorrow because I need my new one so that I could go out to your house, Susie.
Right.
Because
So
the new one
why do
will
you
have the big rubber wheels and I won't get stuck in potholes or on grass or in anything.
Brenda,
Yep.
Yes.
what do you think? Okay, here's my thought. I don't know for sure what this is, but when I take those pictures of the fire and I see all those people in there, and you think those are like people trying to communicate with me or something? Everybody showing themselves in the fire?
A lot of them, I think Steve was correct when he said a lot of them look Native American.
That one looked a Native American for sure.
I'm wondering, how far back have you gone back on your property
Well,
to see what was there?
they said, I don't know, whenever the Paleo Indians used to be here before the Caddo Indians. So Paleo goes back like 10,000 years or whatever. I mean, we're talking like way back. History, a lot of old history here.
Because the thing of it is that a lot of your property seems very well protected. Okay?
Yeah.
Your dogs are happy. Your animals are happy and healthy. If it was cursed, they would not be. But I'm kind of wondering if you have got some sort of Indian burial grounds there somewhere.
Well, I had that dream when I first moved here that there was I had a dream there was like a major Indian chief buried here.
Right.
And then I was at the Tractor Supply one day and I met the mayor and her husband, and he said that when he was a child, he had a dream there was an Indian chief buried out here. So I'm like, what? I had that dream and I just moved here. So
that's what one of the faces looked like in the fire that you showed with his feathers.
headdress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's what it
probably,
looked like.
yeah.
That's
So you
probably
think
him.
they're trying to like, communicate and like showing me, like how you see a lot of the people, maybe I can see them when I take the picture in the fire. They're like showing me who they are.
Possibly. I had
Yeah.
one where I used to live, and I would pray on the land because it was like water, water and marsh holds in that energy. And there was a Native American because I like started sketching and drawing them out, and I'm like, I think there's like a chief out here, but things seemed to calm down after a while. Um, so that could possibly be.
Well, with Susie, like I said, I don't think that anything that would be buried on her grounds is bad.
Right.
Because if it was, her animals would be automatically in some kind of poor health, you
Yep.
know. And she's got a lot of animals out there. They're all happy and healthy. So whatever is there is protective.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just probably sharing, like, I respect you because you respect us.
And
Here,
I will tell you this. One thing that they have not been able to do is to really be around because there was somebody on that property that was not of good intentions.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
Now that that person is not there, that energy is gone.
Hmm.
So now they are flourished to where they can say, hey, we're here. We're here. We are here.
Okay, I'm sending you that guy, the Indian in the fire face, so you can see.
Okay.
I'm gonna call him the fire chief.
There you go. That's a good name.
Fire chief.
Fire chief.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
You have to send it to Messenger.
I think I sent. I think you got it.
Nope,
I
not
think you
yet.
got it. Okay.
Not as of yet.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, he's a little bit harder to see than what the other ones were, but I can still see it.
Yeah,
Let me see. Let me pull him up.
and I'll send you the close-up shot and then the far-away shot, but the two shots of him, because there's another
Oh,
flame with
that's a good
another.
one.
Yeah.
If you look, hang on a second, let me get on there.
It does look like
You
he
see
has a
his
feather
eyes
headdress or something on his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up here.
Yeah, you can see both eyes, his
Eyes,
nose,
his nose,
yeah,
mouth, chin.
mouth. Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a strong jawline.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can see his shoulder and.
Oh
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
that's a really good picture.
She does. She takes them a lot. So, yeah.
And I sent you the far away shot, and there's another face on the left of him, behind him. If you look at the one with the two faces.
Hang on. Let me see. Uh,
There's like two flames. He's one flame, and then the other flame is another face.
Is the other one kind of gray looking? It's more of a gray.
No.
Let me see.
Here, let me see. I'll send it again just in case it didn't go through right.
Let's see.
Okay, send it again.
I think, are you talking right in here?
Okay, that's the one. That's like the close-up of the Indian.
The mouth, eyes. Yeah.
Now I sent you another picture of the same, but not a close-up. And you'll see there's two people. There's him. There it is on the left.
Yeah.
If you could zoom in on that.
I can't zoom in on these.
You can't?
For some reason, no.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Give me one. It won't give me a zoom in.
Okay, hang on.
Don't give me a zoom in. Oh,
no.
Okay, I gotta zoom in. I'll send it to you.
It's a zoom in.
Okay, I just now sent it to you. So I went to the second flame behind him and I zoomed in on it and you can see it's another clear face.
Jason said the chat just disappeared for him. Oh,
Who?
Oh.
Jason.
Actually, this one's weird because there's like a whole, you can see one face and a whole bunch of faces around the one face. It's like a whole lot of faces,
Okay, hang on. Let me.
like and animal faces
Wait
and
a minute.
everything.
What happened? Oh, I closed out of my Facebook.
Like there's this guy, and then there's like one, two, three, three or four faces around him. It's like crazy. Like you can't miss it. It's like crazy.
That's not it. Hang on. That's a bigger one. That's that
The last
one.
one I sent to you.
Okay, the last one that you sent to me. All right, got it.
Okay.
Okay, let me pull it up.
They said hi, Kiki.
Kiki, what you doing? Are you here today?
She was
Not
sleeping.
that one.
Not that
Okay.
one. That's
Not
the
that
last
one.
you sent me.
No,
It's the
I
same
sent you
one.
it. Okay. Hang on. I'll send it again.
Hang on.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. I see what.
That's
Are you
the
talking-
Indian. Now wait.
Right.
Okay, there.
Oh, there's the one. Oh, wow. Look at that face.
That's the second flame behind the chief.
Oh
You
wow.
can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth.
Yeah. But there's faces in his hair, and then there's faces below him, his neck. There's like a cat or a dog or something down here on the bottom of him, and then there's like faces all around him, like animals around him.
That
Wow.
is
That's really
just
cool.
weird.
Yeah, he was in the flame with the chief. Yeah.
You get a, but see that, like I said, that could just be, them coming and saying, we are here. They're allowing you to see them, because do you remember last year when you were doing the fires, you didn't really come up with much in the fires from last year.
Yeah.
When you were burning them the last time. But this one, you've got all kinds, but she was there when you were doing those last year.
Yeah.
So kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that energy is gone, and your property is better. I haven't been out there since she left. And one day I need to come out there, and you and I need to take a drive around the property again.
Yeah, 'cause you had a freaking poor, bad experience.
Yes.
But I learned something.
Hotel hell.
I learned a lot on the side.
I learned a lot. I learned that people, no matter how much I want to trust them, I need to start listening to my inner self saying, "Hey, dummy." And and not take it for the fact. And like I said, I think most of it was because she was your friend, and I didn't want to.
And I should have, and maybe I should have told you some of the things she was saying about you, but I just blew her off, the stuff she said, because I knew it was her nature to talk about everybody like that. Like she talks about everybody behind their back. Like
But when
everybody.
you think about it, a lot of it was more the people that she wanted you away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like there was, I was sitting here thinking last night, like for example, that guy, Sasha Stone. I don't know if you know him.
Yes.
Okay. She was so anti Sasha Stone. And I listened to something he said the other day, and he's from Istanbul, Turkey. Now, I got a thing for Istanbul, Turkey. I do. I'm just like, I think Istanbul, Turkey is just, there's just something about it.
He's from Africa. He was born in Africa.
He says he's from Istanbul, Turkey. That's what it
No,
says.
he's out there right now. He goes out there. I used to follow him
Oh,
like
well, maybe
during
so.
COVID and everything. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but
I don't know.
he had this conversation, and I'll tell you what. And I mean, I really haven't never listened to him too much, but he said he's met with almost every single leader in the world,
Mhm.
and it was such an interesting conversation that I thought, you know what, he's really a pretty interesting character. I think,
I know him.
and
I know him. Was with him for the when a bunch of other people. I just stopped because I talked to him, asked him questions.
yeah.
He's got his own thing. I can't think of it, but he goes once a month. He does a 6 hour with a bunch of different people to talk. And if you're like the higher tier pay, then you get to have a free Zoom call with them every month. And then they were bringing other people in, and you can ask them a question, but it's got to be about like what he's talking about. And he'll talk. He'll talk. So I for like 4 years, but after a while, when I asked him something or said something, and he kind of gave me the answer that I kind of felt that was an arrogant and da 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 whatever.
Oh,
And so to
okay.
me, and I was like, oh gosh, that kind of hurt. Well, that was kind of mean, but okay, I'm
Really?
not going to be a part of your group no more. I'm not going to pay for cruelty, thank you. So I,
Pay for cruelty.
I'm
What
not.
what
I
kind
get
of
that for
questions
free.
did you ask him, Sherry? I mean,
Yeah, you can get
what
it
was
free
the
anywhere. Why pay for it? No, it's
what
just
was the
mean
topic?
because of how they hype up, what they've done. And then when I mention something, and it's like, oh, I've already done that. You should listen to me and these people here, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, no.
Norma said she don't trust him.
Okay.
Um,
And trust. Well, and why? Okay, and why? I want to hear.
I don't know. I'm not Norma.
Well,
No, I just, he does good things, and
Well,
he's
that's what it seemed like. I mean, it just seemed like, uh,
it's just it's an ego thing, and if you
okay,
cross the ego barrier with him, he can be very mean to people and snippety, and he's called people names. I've heard him like in his shows or on Facebook and stuff, and I'm like, oh gosh, if you're supposed to be, I don't know, this way, love and light and all that, then why are you ripping people to shreds? And it's but then it's
Rebecca,
always a reason of the people he talks to. He knows kings, queens. He's got a place in Bali, and knows.
Rebecca says arrogant too,
yeah.
and what Norma says doesn't trust, and wow. So the consensus across the board is, yeah, kind
Downer.
of. He
Well,
comes across as arrogant and not somebody to be trusted.
if
That's
you're
what
somebody
everybody's.
that's got a lot of value, or if you're a scientist, or if you're something like that, or if you're a survivor, he has certain survivors that are with him, and he did help a lot out too years ago, but
Well,
he's on
Norma
everybody.
says,
Norma, that may have been a true thing that he actually said.
okay,
Because
so,
we all know there was
well,
something
that's
wrong
Yeah,
with her.
interesting.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
just a guy that's going. I mean, you can learn a lot from him and everything, but I wouldn't just pick up and run. I listen. I'm a type of person that listens, but I'm like not hanging on every word by everybody, and I don't trust everybody either. But
Right.
I still like to learn from people and whatnot. It's just when I had something that I thought, being supportive of this person for 3 years, thinking that I could have and when I got a shutdown and the this and that,
You know,
it's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't, no.
I wanna say something for a whole minute about the queen thing. Okay. We all know that there are reptilians. We know that they shapeshift. But I did see something that I ran across the other day that had said, um, with regular people, like our politicians and stuff that aren't reptilian, that when they get the black eye, they've injected the reptilian stuff into their eye and it takes over their brain. So would that make them?
The Vril Society thing. Yeah.
The
Yes.
With the worm that goes in the eye.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
So it takes over the brain to make it to where the reptilians can control what they do. So does that make them a half and half? Does it make them end up turning into full reptilians? Does it make them just what happens in their brain?
The Vril is supposed to be taking the body over, pretty much killing the host within and taking the body over. So the body is so that they consume and use all the faculties and facilities of that person,
Like a
memories,
demon would.
so they
when it
can take
takes
it over, even though it's not quite right of that person anymore. But they're, you know,
Because like I've only
switching
seen I've only seen and been around when they smell, but I would think that somebody who is injected with that they could get away with being around me and I wouldn't smell them
True.
unless they were completely overboard. Because like I've seen the full on
They sound like they're
Oh.
like mind controlled humans for them.
Yes. And they say that sometimes when we consume the MR, that stuff, that basically is a form of what they're doing, because it forms in your body, takes over certain things, and it makes you controllable. That's what somebody was saying about the 5G. That's what it's for, to be able to control people.
Yeah.
And then there was something that
Probably because different things. People that are controllable, they're usually triggered by certain things, so they could use that to send signals and stuff like that to trigger them.
I've always gone by just what I've seen and what I've seen personally in my life. I've gone by that and really haven't done a whole lot of research into them. But when I started hearing about that and was seeing pictures of people that had a black eye, and I believe it's their left eye that they usually always use.
You ever listen to Donald Marshall talk about it?
No.
I have.
What?
Listened to
You
all
haven't
of his
heard
stuff.
Brenda?
Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. Oh, Donald
been
Marshall's
around.
good. Yeah.
He's been around forever, but he talks about the cloning centers and the real worm and how they put it in there, and he talks about all of that stuff.
Yep. And
I bet a lot of our listeners have probably know who Donald Marshall is. And Tequila, what is her Tequila? What is that? That girl that's name was Tequila or something like that. I don't remember. She became a Christian, but she said that they cloned her and
Shakira?
Yeah, she went to the cloning centers and she said she talks about that stuff too because
there's a lot of them that talk about it.
Yeah.
Or they talk about their demonic alter egos and
she fought it with by becoming a Christian, and she got married, settled down, and she was doing those shows where she was looking for a partner, and she didn't care if it was male or female, but it was all part of the Hollywood thing. And but she ended up becoming a Christian and walked away from all of that stuff. But
that's good to get out and away from that.
Yeah, Rebecca says she doesn't know who Donald Marshall is. That is shocking because I thought everybody knew who Donald Marshall was. Oh my gosh.
I didn't pay I mean, I have certain people that I listen to, and I have to run across people
Yeah.
that would have that. What is this? Somebody just sent me.
I'm gonna see if I can pull something up on him.
He does have like I think a book out, like a small, not a very thick book on Amazon too, about his experiences and stuff. A lot of his things are that they'll take a soul out and put them in clone bodies, and then they'll do a lot of heinous crimes to the clone body till it dies, and then he pops back into his own body. Sometimes he has residual energy and stuff that he's talked about. There's something else, music, album covers and stuff like that. That Iron Maiden, I think, or something
Yeah,
was
he
done.
claims he wrote a lot of songs
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yep.
Hmm. Jason's on it. Look at him. Somebody asked, Rebecca said, where will I find him? Jason just puts the link up in the thing. Good job, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, all right, here, I'm gonna send you something. It's about 4 minutes long. Let me send this to you, Brenda.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
I was getting stuff sent to me from
Donald Marshall's testimony, human cloning amnesty. It's I just sent it to you. It's only like 4 minutes long if you want to play it.
Okay. Let me
So
bring it up. I was getting sent some stuff from someone that used to be on the show. Apparently is having a show himself, him and his little clonies, so I'm just like, whatever. Okay, open this up. Let me go back over here. Let me open this. Okay, can you guys see it all right?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Does it have
This
sound?
video,
Oh yeah.
I just want to say that I am not saying that any of this is 100% true or that I know it to be complete objective fact. All I know is that I believe that the elite are definitely insane, power-hungry maniacs, and that I don't know what exactly they do behind closed doors, but it's definitely not good. And what I am about to explain is correlated to the elite's potential behavior behind closed doors. Don't get too worked up over whether you potentially believe this information or not. All of this info is alleged. So listen to and absorb this information as such. From the testimony of Donald Marshall. Donald Marshall is an individual that has claimed to be a victim of the elite/Illuminati cloning center abuse. Allegedly, these cloning centers are located all over the world within deep underground military bases. This is how the cloning dynamic works according to Donald Marshall. A chip is implanted inside a person's body, and at night, when the individual goes to sleep and enters the REM sleep cycle, which is the deepest state of sleep, a button is pressed from these alleged cloning centers underground inside a lab. From there, the individual's spirit/soul/consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, is transferred from the original body that is in a current sleep stasis at the time into the body of a clone of that person's self. After the consciousness transfer, these elite scumbags can do anything from beating the shit out of you, raping you, or even just generally messing with you for no good reason. According to Marshall, random people, not everyone obviously, unknowingly attend these cloning centers every or almost every night to get abused or messed with. The reason why these people don't recall what happened is because the elite memory repressed them via the chip in their head or drug their clone bodies with potent substances to make the person think that they are quote unquote astral projecting or quote unquote lucid dreaming. The types of people that attend these cloning centers knowingly are the rich elite, such as high up celebrities, world leaders, high up political figures, and general people that were born into and sold out to the occult / Illuminati / elite globalist organization. So how do you end up in one of these cloning centers? So essentially, depending on what families that you're a part of, you could be secretly a part of these occult organizations, right? So basically, your family can, when you're born, they can sell you out to these organizations in order to get rewards in real life. So they can sell you out to organizations to, be a victim of, pedophile abuse, or just if the government wants to have more people down there to mess with, they can sell you into this organization, to these alleged cloning centers, and get money in real life. They can get benefits in real life, to your detriment. And usually these family members, they also attend. They don't just get to have you attend and that's it. No, they also attend. It's just that they are the ones that spectate you getting your ass beat or raped or whatever. But they, in real life, they get the benefits allegedly. Or another thing, according to Donald Marshall, he says that when these famous figures, are on TV or whatever, and they say that, oh, I sold my soul to the devil, basically what they mean realistically is that they sold themselves out to the cloning center for benefits in real life, to become super famous, or, really high up, or to get money. That's what they mean when these people say when these celebrities say they sold their souls. That's, according to Donald Marshall, this is what they mean. But I'm going to be making a part 2, right, which is going to be explaining creatures that come out from really underground, because apparently in these cloning centers there are a whole bunch of aliens and other types of creatures that walk around in the premise of these centers, and I'm going to be explaining that in part 2. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Ooh, so we need to see part 2.
Probably the reptilian ones, right? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Why have I never seen this?
I don't know.
Somebody's been keeping this from me.
Right? I'm glad I brought it up. I mean, I just thought everybody knew who Donald Marshall was.
No. I'm kind of selective on some of the people that I listen to, because I've been able to call out some people's bullshit. So it's not like I go looking all the time for a bunch of people to listen to. But apparently I didn't dig deep enough on that one. So my shovel is fired. So let's do it.
Well, now you have a new project to look into. Yeah.
Yes, now I have a new project. I like new projects.
Right?
That's kind of good.
That's crazy. Yeah, he talks about the Vril. There's like a whole video he does about the worm that they put in the eye.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And I remember one time seeing a picture of Queen Elizabeth when she was out walking around with everybody. And you know how when you do something and you hurt your eye and it's bloodshot?
Yeah.
Now, she had makeup on, so that would cover a bruise, but it couldn't cover the bloodshot of her eye. So I was like, well, but people have claimed that they have seen Prince Philip shapeshift in front of them. There's one girl that I seen, I can't remember her name, but she actually stands outside in London and talks about the pedophilia and about how she was a child that was brought up in that. She had seen Prince Philip change, and the Queen was the last one to change in front of everybody.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that video she did. It was good.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really hard for me to turn around and discredit anybody who has said they were a child involved in this stuff, because coming from a child that was involved in some of it, I can't say that they're wrong,
Right?
Because when you remember such detail of things and you're younger and you have to live with this all of your life, if you think that it doesn't damage you to know that there are other things that are walking around on this planet that are not us, and you grow up like that, you're sadly mistaken, because it does. It really makes you,
Think differently than a
yes,
normal
and you're,
person. Yeah.
skeptical of a lot of different people. Um, I have a real hard time with some of the people that are like in the UFO communities, because they take people's stories, they put them out, and they try to vibe with them, and they really cannot, because they don't know. Now, I'm not one to say people don't need to learn things, because everybody needs to learn, because it is happening around us. But I really hate when people do it for clout, or they do it to make money, um, because some of those people, and I've heard them do it, I've heard them go behind those people's backs and say, well, this person's just an emu. They're fucked up. No more, we're not doing this. And it's like, if you want to learn, sit down and listen. Don't judge them. Listen. And there is one person in particular that I've heard say this several times with people that they have on their shows. And it's like, you want to know why I won't go talk to you? Just because of that very reason right there. You sit down, you do these interviews with people, and then you talk crap about them behind their back. It's wrong. So, taking somebody from a young age and having them tell their story about what happened to them, and they've carried that with them all their lives, and they weren't allowed to talk about it. They weren't allowed to say anything. Well, now that things are more out in the open, people are able to say more. Now they come out. They're more comfortable saying it. I mean, I held that in my life for a lot of years. A lot of years. And it wasn't until I started noticing and watching other things and seeing other people that have gone through this stuff that I felt comfortable with, and that's 50 some odd years of my life of just not being able to say anything. And and you can't go to a psychiatrist. I don't care what anybody says, you cannot. If you walk into a normal psychiatrist and you say, look, I've seen this, I grew up with this, I've seen that, they're going to look at you like you're crazy and put you in a straitjacket. Okay? Because why? They don't understand it. They have no idea. So they treat you like you're an outcast, which I kind of got treated like that most of my life, so it would be nothing different for me. But I don't feel like being locked up because somebody else is insecure in what they hear, and they can't believe it, So when that's
how they're taught.
yeah. So and I'm hoping that with the way things are going in life now, that there are going to be people out there that are going to either be people like me who has gone through it that could go and sit with people to tell their stories and understand them and believe them and know, so that certain people can get help. Because look at all the young people we have now that could be going through this stuff. At least we can help them when we had nobody to help us. So, and a lot of times it was only the strong that could handle that. Because if you were not strong-minded, some people just ended it because they couldn't handle what all they went through. So, yeah. It's Texas, you're reserved because you're from Texas. That's why.
Rebecca had a couple questions.
Try to stay that way. Huh?
Rebecca has a couple questions.
Let's see.
My headset went dead. So I'm charging it.
I did not meet that person, Rebecca. And did I feel empowered after speaking?
Felt relief, didn't
No.
you, when you told it, when you finally got to tell?
Yeah, it was more like when I found out there was other people out there that were like me. That was a relief. That was like, okay, so I'm not the only one. I'm not the one on the outside just going, hey. A lot of anything that would have put me, any kind of power side of me was taken away when I was younger. I learned growing up how to be a strong woman. I went through a lot, not just what happened to me when I was younger. Um, I was beaten by my daughter's dad at a young age. I never have had,
You never had a break.
yeah, really, really. I've never, even still to this day, I haven't had a break. So I just stay strong and ornery. I stay strong and ornery because I do. It's about the only way I could do it. um, I never felt any guilt. Um, I'm more or less telling my story. I felt at first kind of ashamed, but I think it was ashamed because of the people in my life that put me through that. I was ashamed for them. How dare they? Um,
Right.
it was, I
You,
don't
you know,
know.
through a lot of emotions too, and it's like you
Yes.
fluctuate too. You have bouts of anger, sad, and then you
Yes.
come to peace with it. But then you probably jump around just like anybody does when dealing with these memories and what
Yes.
happened.
Yeah. Once you put that, and Rebecca, you're right. Once you put your foot through that door and you let it go, it doesn't stop. You can't take it back. You can't run from it. You have to face it. So what I think I did growing up through my life, I dealt with periods in my life as I got older, learning how to deal with it myself before I could say anything else. If you're not comfortable with what you went through, which you're never comfortable with it, that's the wrong word to say, but if you don't deal with the things in yourself to be able to speak, then don't do it. Hold it until you're ready. Because if you let it out too soon, you're scattered, things don't make sense. And people, believe it or not, people will pick up on the smallest little things that you say and twist that shit around. So you have to come to common ground with yourself before you try to put it out there. Because if you don't, then you'll crumble. I tried several times, but I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. I just couldn't, and even learning things that I did at a late age, I'm already older. So I already have endured so much crap that, yes, when I first found out, it was kind of shocking to me. I was like, why did I not remember this? Or why would you do this to me? You were people in my life that I trusted. Why? But I bucked up because you know what? It made me a stronger and a better person. Um, I hate what happened to me, but I love the person that I've become. So, and that's what it all comes down to. You have to stop. You can't feel sorry for yourself all the time. You're going to, because you're going to go through that emotion. You're going to go through all of that. anger, like Susie said. You're going to go through anger and hate and just feeling sorry for yourself and all that other stuff. I think what did it for me and what made me learn that part was listening to other people's stories, listening to them. And then I got to thinking to myself, geez, I thought what I went through was bad. Listen to this. Whoa, you know? So you have to learn how to balance your reality with what happened to you in the past, which was reality, but you don't want it to be. You have to step up and you have to say, okay, I did this. I went through this. This happened to me. And you know what? It's not what defines me. I am who I am now, and I'm a better person, and I'm strong for this. I made it through, and I can help others. So, and that's until you can get to that point, then you just need to sit and figure yourself out. You have to learn to balance that. So, and it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It is hard. I mean, I've hit some roads where I've done such defiant things just because I didn't know how to deal with things. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm human. I would sometimes sit and just break down and just cry for days. But once you get a grip on it and you find your strength in what you went through, you stop crying. And you want to help others, because there are a lot more people out there like me, like Susie, like Sherry. There's more than what we know. So as long as you can keep, God, my sinuses are still kicking my butt. As long as you can still keep yourself. I mean, you have to keep yourself. Don't lose your mind over it. Sit down and think. You know, I'm going to tell you, I made a board one time when I was younger. Kind of like a chessboard, but this was a round circle. And it went around and it came in the middle and it stopped. And I took these pieces and I looked at this board and I said, okay, so here's what happened to me. And I would deal with it one little step at a time. And anytime I got to a spot on that board where I would start crying or questioning myself, I'd take 2 steps back and have to do it all over again. I missed pieces of my life, so some of it was really hard to move forward. But I did what I could. And by doing that, it made me strengthen my own mind in what I went through. So everybody can find a different outlet. Mine was, let me sit here in quiet and peace and do this myself so nobody knows what I'm doing. And, you know, if somebody walked by and said, what are you doing? Playing a game. By yourself? Well, yeah, it just involves me. That's it. That's it. So, because sometimes you can get help. And sometimes you can find people to talk to. But there are sometimes that there's people who don't understand anything that you've ever gone through. I mean, I never sat and talked to my daughter about a lot of things. There's a lot of things that she don't know about her mom. And why? Well, I guess it's because I felt that she needed to be shielded from a lot of the bad in this world, which could have been my mistake with her. But I think that in actuality, it probably kept her safer than knowing.
We want to protect our kids and not let them go through what we went through.
Yes, absolutely. So
I agree.
Yeah, it was one of those things, but I'll just tell you. We have been on here for 2 hours, y'all.
Yes.
We started talking about some creepy places, but yeah, this turned out to be interesting. It always is when Susie comes on. Well, I'll tell you, we can always find all kinds of stuff to talk about. Who needs a guest? We don't need a guest. We have ourselves.
It's fun.
I just remember hearing about the Driscoll, and I'm like, oh, the Driscoll. Yeah.
Yep, the Driscoll. The Driscoll Hotel. That place is. I wouldn't pay $1,000 to go in there and go try to find some ghosts. So
No.
that's where I have to draw my limit. If they want to talk to me, I'll go outside and stand there and look at it. They can come out and visit me. Because for $1,000, I ain't going in there. That's
I
okay.
remember when some of the children were like falling off the balconies and stuff. Yeah, and dying in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was there in Austin when that was happening. They were just falling off. People were dying in those hotels.
I just don't look. I grew up riding in the back of a pickup truck. Okay. I was little. I grew up never wearing a seatbelt, riding a bike without helmets and knee pads. But when it comes to your child falling off of a balcony of a 5 or 6 story high, what are your kids doing out on the balcony by themselves?
Yeah, I think I would be super paranoid, and if I had
Yeah.
for a kid to fall off like that.
We had a neighbor girl that my youngest witnessed was sitting on the 2nd story window and she fell out. My
Yeah.
son come running around. I was on the other side of the building sitting. I was like, Mom, so-and-so, she fell out. She bounced. And I'm like, oh my God, is she okay? You know, and I and we had, but thank God she was fine. They took her to the hospital and everything. The mom had like, I don't know. We used to call them the family of 9. So there was like sisters and kids and their mom. So
Said when
it was,
they bounce, you know, that because their bones
yeah,
are.
but that's kind of traumatizing. The poor kids out there.
Oh my God,
playing,
yeah.
And then this girl just drops out of a window and bounces.
You know, my daughter still to this day will tell me how horrible I was because when she was a toddler and she was walking, I would take her to the store and she was kind of getting too big to sit in the cart. I bought those leash things, you know, that you put on their hand and you walk around with them. And she swears up and down that was like one of the worst things I could have done. But what she doesn't understand was at that time in life, kids were disappearing in grocery stores.
Oh yeah, they were.
Okay.
Cole and Henry Lucas who were kidnapping them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I did it for her safety, but she'll often make a comment like, "Oh, you thought I was a dog on a leash." No, that would have been put around your neck. But it was on your wrist.
Taking off and running, you know, like just
Yeah.
all out. Yeah.
They do.
And it's like she just doesn't, I don't know. I think because I tried to keep her as sheltered as possible, which made it kind of hard when, you know, I wasn't there, I was at work or, you know, what have you. You know, she would always say, "Well, this was so bad of you." And it's like, no, I put that on you when we went to the store to make sure nobody ran off with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had them to go around the corner and some stranger to snatch them up and be gone, you know?
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
yeah,
so easy.
there's a lot of videos out there with stuff like that.
You know, and I think that they look at it like, oh, well, when you were bringing me up, you were abusive because you put me on this leash thing. No, that wasn't abusive. That was keeping you close to me and safe. That's what that was.
Right.
That wasn't
We're
abuse.
an untamed little unruly animal.
Yeah. No, right? What? Yeah. No, I do that to my look.
Child view.
They have them with backpacks now. They're like little backpacks that the kids
Yeah.
wear and then connects to the parent's wrist or whatever. So the kid doesn't feel like what your daughter felt like. And so they feel like they got a little backpack on and they're still connected to the parents without. So I'm sure your daughter wasn't the only one that complained about that.
Right? So they had to make the backpacks.
So they make a cuter backpack, more fun, acceptable.
Well, they didn't have the backpacks when she was little. Okay.
No, they don't. I've
This
seen
was in the
them
mid
now.
80s and they didn't have them.
No, they don't. No, they didn't have much then.
But you know
I
what? She survived all the kidnapping, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my kids did. They wandered off in the mall before. I'm like, didn't anyone run around asking store people? And they were like, no, I didn't see it. I'm like, oh my God, this is how kids get kidnapped. And I found my daughter. She's talking to a mannequin. She's having this because she just kind of slipped through the clothes and found a mannequin and was talking to my mom and we're just running around looking for her.
Norma,
Yeah.
do you see Putin walking around behind me? He's looking for some trouble. Putin, what are you doing? What are you looking for? You looking for some trouble? Huh? You looking for some trouble? I guess the kids that moved next door to me, they smoke, so they go out front, and he'll run up to the door and like stick his nose on the crack, and he sounds vicious. I was like, where is this coming from? Although, if I open the door and let him out, he'll run to him with his tail wagging, you know. But he does. He tries to sound so vicious. I mean, it's like, God, you're knee high to a grasshopper, buddy. I don't know who you're gonna scare. Who you gonna scare? Huh? Silliness. But Susie, did you talk to William yet about Friday night?
I was thinking he probably doesn't have a computer because he's in some RV, but I was thinking, man, he probably is in a bad situation to do. I'll ask him. So
Well, I
I'll
mean,
text him after the show and see, because I was thinking that today. I was like, oh man, I'm going to ask him.
what
to come
about
on.
his phone?
He didn't even
And
have
I mean,
Wi-Fi.
if he uses his phone, he might be
Right.
able to do it without the Wi-Fi with just his phone data. But you would have to show him how to get on there with his phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just find out and ask him. If not, then I need to get a hold of Abe and make sure that he's not going to be busy Saturday night
Yeah.
and see if he wants to come on Saturday night, because Friday nights he can't do. Neither could Dennis. So either or. If Abe is going to be busy, then I'll get a hold of Dennis and see if he's not doing anything, and
Okay.
have him come on Saturday night. I know that tomorrow I was supposed to go to the grocery store 2 days ago, and I still haven't done it. I've just been here. What? What are you looking for? You want your food? Oh, are you hungry? You little fat boy. Are you hungry? He's come running up here staring at me like, I gotta have something. I gotta have something. You're a spaz. God. He's been getting into trouble. I'm telling you. It's like he's at his terrible 2 stage right now. And he just like tries to do things to just get on everybody's nerves sometimes. We just look at him and laugh because we think it's funny.
Hey, Brenda.
Hey,
Today, we've been working with a lot of our young horses, right? But today, I have a 2-year-old who's a stallion. He's fully intact, and we got a halter on him yesterday, and he and I were real happy about it. But he's starting to lead. He's a real big 2-year-old, and but the interesting thing about him is when he was about 2 months old, he completely snapped his leg in half.
Oh,
Broke, and it
dang.
was like dangling his front leg. It was he would dangle, and he would drag it, and so because the skin didn't break, I knew he was going to heal because he was a colt, right? Well, his leg completely healed up. We call him crooked leg, and he's completely sound. And I mean, I think his leg is stronger, and he moves beautifully, just like a normal horse. And you
Wow.
would never, I mean, people say, the horse breaks his leg. Don't you have it put down? No, he's the second horse that we had break its leg in half. I had a little miniature pony, snapped its back leg. You've seen that, the horse. They can run faster than my other horses. Okay. And the bone healed up, but he has a funny muscle and everything. But I just thought I'd throw that out there, that it's a cool story because, He's a beautiful horse, and yet he broke his leg when he was little, and it healed on its own. It never broke the skin. It healed, the bone healed, and he, it's just, so if your horse breaks its leg, they say break a leg, it's good luck. Okay, okay.
That won't. Will that ever eventually bother him? Like if he's
I
being
don't think
ridden?
so. I don't think so. I think he's gonna be normal, and because when he moves completely free and normal, and he's been healed for like 2 years
That's
completely.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a beautiful horse, and they say too, when you have a broken bone and it heals like that, it's stronger than the original. So he's probably stronger. I don't know. Well, if you see him, he is one tough, stout horse. He is nice. He's real nice. So it's just so cool because we're so glad that he's doing so well, and he's going to make a great horse. Yeah.
Nice. That's a good story. I like that.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to let you go. Keep an eye out for the notifications. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we will be having something coming up this weekend, whether it be Friday or Saturday. Like I said, I'm waiting to find out. Yeah, I'm waiting to find out what's going to happen with William, because William Steele's got a pretty neat story, and have him come on. But we are going to go ahead and get out of here and say good night to everybody. And I got to watch the exit video now that we've seen the beginning one. And it's not as long, so it won't take very long for it to play out. But we are going to go, and everybody, like always, please be kind to one another, and you guys have a good night.
Nice.